Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another AutoTrader Podcast, South Africa's #1 motoring podcast. And my name is George Mienie, and as usual, joined by none other than Wandile Sishi. Hey, Wandi.
Hey, George, how's it going? Another week?
Good. Yeah, another week, another show. And this week's episode is, we're coining it Tips and Tricks. Tips and Tricks episode, and trying to unpack 3 negotiating tips and tricks to sell your car faster, and what documentation do you need when buying a car, as well as 5 tips for getting the best new car deal. But in the beginning of the show, we're here for a different reason, and we have France and Lisa in the studio with us. Welcome, France. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
And the reason France and Lisa are here is because they're very special guests that have won our WinAnyCar competition for 2021. So that's pretty epic journey. How are you guys feeling?
We are so excited.
Extremely overwhelmed. Still in the moment of winning. Yes.
Yeah. Have you gotten to drive your car yet?
Yes, we have.
Definitely. It drives like a dream.
Yeah.
What were you driving before this?
That was a Renault 11.
Okay.
1982 model. Yeah, a blue one, the same one that is seen in the pictures.
Okay, and are you keeping it or are you selling it?
We'll keep it for now.
Yeah.
But
See what
eventually,
happens.
yes, we'll sell it.
Eventually you'll sell it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which car did you guys end up, choosing to I guess win?
That was the VW Polo Vivo Comfort line. Yeah,
1.4, yeah.
1.4.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
roaring
We love
engine.
it.
So Polo Vivo 1.4, I mean, I've seen the car. It's white, it's beautiful. You really
stunning
chose
car.
a nice car.
Definitely.
Why did you choose this car?
The reason why we chose this vehicle was mostly for its affordability. Yes.
And fuel economy.
Yes.
With petrol prices soaring the way they are, we thought we needed to save somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really
But
good
still
choice.
keep the style
Yes.
and the comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we went through literally hundreds of your guys' entries because you guys entered so many times, and each time we saw a new one, it gave us lots of additional laughs. It gave us a new insight into who you guys were. So well deserved. Really well deserved.
Yeah,
We're glad you had some good laughs.
we still find ourselves laughing
Laughing,
at the
yes.
video.
And then, I mean, there were a couple of let's call it jealous people on social media. Let's call the jealous people out.
Yes, yes.
And let's be clear, you guys entered with hundreds of photographs and 1 video.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I mean, I thought your video was epic, but your photographs were
Yeah.
even more epic.
It was just a journey of
Yes.
seeing this entire thing. I think it wasn't just one entry, but it was this, catalog of entries. So, yeah, the effort was there. It was really creative, and yeah, really well deserved.
Very
Thank
well
you so
deserved.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
And then a very special thing happened on your last entry. Tell us
Wow.
about that.
So
Well,
it was-
let's hear from Lisa.
Wow! Since he was the one that came up with the whole surprise Lisa idea, you should talk about it, right?
You can go ahead, but okay. I'll go ahead. Okay, so I plan to propose to Lisa on the last day of our entry. It went quite well.
So at that point, you didn't know that you were winners or were
No.
going to be winners,
No.
obviously.
No, not at all.
Not
Yeah.
at all.
I mean,
yeah.
we didn't even know you were going to be.
Yeah, we learned recently. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were looking for obviously some perfect spots, and then we stumbled across that one in the park there in Roodepoort. And that's where the special moment
The
took
magic
place.
happened.
Yes, where the magic happened.
It's so romantic. Yeah.
Got
no.
down on one knee,
Yeah.
asked her the question. She said yes.
With AutoTrader in the background.
I think that's the first time we've had a proposal.
It's the
in,
first time I'm here.
in a competition. It's so awesome. Well, France and Lisa, happy many miles in your VW Polo Vivo, and we hope that that you come back for more at some point.
Most definitely. Thank you so much.
Anything you want to say to anybody? How was your experience?
Oh, the experience. It was so much fun. I had so much fun every day waking up. doing wardrobe changes for our photo shoots. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think
really
it
alright.
was a good way to just get out of the exam mode. Because we also recently graduated, so it was just, you know, a nice, fun opportunity. Yeah.
A change of scenery
Yes.
from what we were normally doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I believe you've done the responsible thing. The car is fully insured, and you're
Yes.
about to drive it out of here.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Definitely, we can't wait.
Many happy miles. Let us not keep you up, and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Well
guys.
deserved.
Well, Wendy,
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm jealous, I can tell you that much. But yeah, I mean, fantastic entries really. And yeah, I wish I could enter.
yeah, unfortunately we can't. We work for AutoTrader, so it wouldn't be I think a good
Wouldn't
thing
be fair,
if anybody inside the business won. But yeah, I feel your pain. You know, if
Are we bringing it back next year?
well, we've done it now 2 years in a row,
Yeah.
so I don't see why not. Let's let's tentatively commit. So well done, France and Lisa. We really wish you many happy miles. So before we get into the rest of the show and why we're here, it's another race weekend, second last one, right?
Second last race weekend. I think when this episode airs, we will know who's the winner of the season.
I don't think we'll know, because if Hamilton wins, it's down to the last race.
Correct.
Right. So we might not know.
Might not know, but I mean, yeah, I think we'll know.
You think so?
My
You think
maths might be off
Verstappen?
here.
You think Verstappen's going to win?
No, Hamilton won.
You think it'll happen? Hamilton win? Well, then we won't know. I mean, the only way that Hamilton can outright win is if Verstappen doesn't finish.
If he doesn't know, basically if because it's 7 points behind right now. So
Yes.
if Hamilton comes P1 next
Yes.
race, then it's going to be tied. And then, it depends who
So
finishes
no,
higher.
wait. Let's understand this. So if Hamilton wins this weekend's race, which is now last weekend in terms of when the show is aired, right? If Hamilton comes P1
Yeah.
and Verstappen comes P2, right?
When this coming race weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the gap is 7 points to Verstappen at the moment.
Yes.
P1 gets how many points?
25.
25, and P2?
18.
18. So that's a differential of 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so they will be neck and neck
Correct.
if Hamilton wins and Verstappen's
Verstappen comes
P2.
second.
That means that can only be decided on the last race.
Yes.
Yes. So how can Hamilton secure the championship at this particular race, as if Verstappen doesn't come in the points?
Then
That's
he will
25 less
be-
7.
Yeah, so it's going to be 18 points
18,
ahead.
so you'll be 18 points ahead. That means that in the only way that Verstappen can win in the last race is if he wins and Hamilton doesn't
DNFs, yeah.
doesn't finish.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of permutations, I think.
Definitely. But I mean, that's why we love this. The last time this happened was probably 2016.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had to kind of predict the future here, I think that this pressure on Verstappen might make him misstep, because it's going to be so much pressure for him to win. I mean, you can imagine he's never won a world championship.
He's never won a world championship. He's going up against
He's going up against a
arguably the best driver.
7-time world champion, right?
Yeah.
His pressure to keep up his points could very well set him on a crash course.
Let's go back 2 years when we used to speak about Max, though, and how turbulent he was. Yeah, crashed happened. It's a different driver completely. I think he's not going to misstep. And I
think he's matured.
I think he's matured enough to, be calm enough.
And that coming from a Hamilton supporter.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
No, it's brilliant.
So
It's brilliant.
yeah.
Well, let's get into the episode. Tips and tricks, and tips and tricks around buying and selling cars. So let's set the stage. Buying a car, or selling a car for that matter, is quite taxing. I mean,
can
we can
be,
all
yeah.
agree it's quite a heavy process. Would you say buying a car or selling a car is the most stressful?
I think it depends on the scenario. So I think selling a car can be stressful if you need a specific amount of money for something that's really important. But buying a car is always fun, in my opinion. like always fun.
I think buying a car is funner than
Yeah.
selling a car, and I'll tell you why. My because when you're buying a car, you're kind of in control.
Yeah,
Because
you have
you're in control of what you buy. You're in control of what you pay. You're in control.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're selling a car, it's a little bit out of your control in terms of
Can
what
be.
the car's worth.
Yeah.
The risks associated with it. The paperwork, etc. So how does somebody get maximum money for selling a car? Let's start there.
So basically there's 3 tips which we've highlighted as AutoTrader in terms of things that you can do really to ensure that you get the most cash. The first one being research. So this is we say researching in buying and selling really, but researching what the market is like in terms of selling your car is so important, because it can be the difference between an additional 10,000 rand or even less than
Well, I mean, you look at the data all the time, right?
Yeah.
And how often, or should I say, how fluidly do prices change?
Well, that's the problem. Is it can change literally every day. It just depends on demand. Demand is going to be the biggest factor in terms of how many people want to buy this vehicle. And also, one thing you can also look into is basically who you're going to be selling it to. If you go to a different city, you may be getting less money, essentially. So understanding what the options are and researching what the entire field is, and not just going to the first person who says take the money, can be the difference between making lots of money or less.
I think that's really good advice, and that is there's a couple of factors that are at play when you're selling your car, and the least of which are province can change the value of the car. When you sell the car can change the value of the car. How much demand does it play can change the value of the car. And all of those dynamics are changing on a continual basis depending on the popularity of the car. I mean, let's talk about the Polo Vivo that France and Lisa won just recently. That's always been a popular car. So if the mileage is low, you could probably get top dollar for a Polo Vivo.
100%. That's a car and I mean, the color of the vehicle. There's so many different factors which can impact how much money you're going to get.
What are the most popular colors in terms of, what keeps the value of the car up when you want to sell?
Having a white car will always be first prize in terms of demand for it, as well as in terms of maintenance and making sure that it retains its value. White is kind of a fan favorite. The car, specifically the color, does not deteriorate as fast as some of the others. And
if
also
you've got a yellow car, for instance.
Exactly, or like a purple car is gonna, you're gonna have to do
nothing
some
worse. A purple car. What's the worst color car you've ever had?
I've only had one car, so and it was white. So
clever move.
No, I thought about specifically this sort of thing. Another tip that I want to sort of put out there to the consumers is set a price which will allow you to negotiate downwards. If you're going to be selling a car, you can almost guarantee that someone's going to say, hey, what if we go 5,000, a little bit less. So just add that buffer in when you obviously fairly, but add that buffer in to try and get the max
and
cash.
where can we, I mean, I don't need to ask this question because the answer is quite simple. Go to autotrader.co.za. On the menu at the top, there's a car valuation tool. Go and get the range for what the car's going for today. And then you'll get a really good indication of what the car might be worth. And if you re-engage a couple of weeks later, go and do the check again, because it might have changed.
Exactly.
You just don't know. You know? See what other people are selling their car for, and then don't be like, I think, scared to stress the positives of the car when selling it.
100%.
Look for those positives, and then also don't hide away from the negatives.
Definitely. Transparency is everything. Think about when you're buying a car, the salesman's always going to, tell you all the positive things about the vehicle. It's the same thing when you're selling privately even. Stress those positives, and, the options that you paid. Include that in your consideration of how much to sell your car, because, it may be the same model as something that's out there in the market, but the options that you spec on your vehicle can add significantly to how much you could potentially make.
Yeah, options are an important thing. I mean, if the car's got a sunroof and the rest of the cars in the market don't have a sunroof, it's quite a unique selling feature.
Yeah, definitely.
So don't downplay or leave out all of those optional extras that actually exist in your car. And then let's talk about documentation for a second. What are the kinds of documents consumers need in order to sell or even buy a car? But I suppose let's stick with selling for a second.
So there's 3 key documents which are going to be required when you're selling for cash. But basically, proof of residence, your ID documents, as well as a sale agreement.
Well, that's on the buy side, right? If you're buying a car, you need proof of residence. If you're buying a car, cash. If you're selling the car, I suppose you just need the NATIS documents.
Pretty much just the NATIS documents, and there's a few steps that you need to do to sort of protect yourself, as well as if you're buying the vehicle, also that you need to just be consider to ensure that the transaction is, I guess, legally binding.
Well, I suppose you need a sale agreement.
Yeah, which would be the sales agreement. Obviously written down on papers.
Better.
The only thing that's going to stand in courts, really, versus your word versus mine. It's not going to work.
No. Verbal agreements are legally binding, but they're hard to prove.
Exactly.
Very hard to prove. So you need a sale agreement. The sale agreement should be in place that really states the condition of the car, how you're selling the car, what you're selling the car for.
The 2 people between you it's happening.
Exactly.
All those details, the dates. Yeah. Think of any contract and.
Well, you can imagine if you don't have a sale agreement and the person doesn't put the car in their name, and you're selling this car, and they go and they get a speeding fine that is, at 60 k's an hour, and you're doing 100 k's an hour, and you get a speeding fine, you're going to get that fine.
100%.
Now you're going to be able to prove I sold the car.
Yeah. It's really important that you understand that these are documents that are required for you to prove, for scenarios like that, or even when there's an accident, or you don't want them to. Essentially, your car gets hijacked and it's under somebody's name. They find it, and technically, legally, it's not your vehicle.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But yeah, really, really important stuff.
And then, how does somebody get the best new car deal on the market? What are the considerations that exist in the world of buying a new car?
Yeah. So I think in order to get the best deal, the first thing that you need to do is really understand what's the best car for my scenario. So with regards to deals, understanding how you're going to be using this vehicle, so your lifestyle situation is so key in sort of narrowing down what's the best car for you. And then on top of that, it's also just important to take into account some of the things like your monthly repayments on the vehicle, just so you can understand this deal here it's either good or it's bad, and it's not just the price that you're seeing. We always speak about ownership, the cost of ownership, and it's kind of key in ensuring that.
Well, total cost of ownership is an important thing, which includes things like running costs. What does it cost to service the car? Does it have a warranty, and how long is that warranty? How many kilometers do you do per annum? Yeah. Some people do 10,000 kilometers per annum. Some people do 20, 30, 40,000 kilometers per annum, depending on how much you travel. So how long is it going to take for your warranty to run out before you're going to have to start paying for services or maintenance yourself? And then always look for specials, I suppose.
100%.
There's often specials coming about. We just had Black Friday special where we had hundreds of cars on special on the Black Friday website. And there's often specials that hit the market, especially when car sellers or car dealers tend to sit with a car. Sometimes those cars then go on special so that they can move.
Demo cars, another great way. I think we just introduced a demo filter.
Yes, so if you go into AutoTrader, you can see there's a demo filter on the left hand side. If you hit search,
demo cars are fabulous in terms of getting your value for money. Usually these are cars that are used by the dealership for test drives, but you could knock almost 100,000 rand off of the price if it's been sitting long enough on that vehicle. So it's always great to ask the dealership if they have any demos, and to go on AutoTrader and search for demo vehicles.
There's 1,100 demos, or 1,099 demos on AutoTrader today, as at the time of this recording. So, and those demos seem to range from a price of 139,900 Rand for a Peugeot 108 1 litre, all the way up to 3.4 million Rand for a Land Rover, Range Rover Autobiography.
Yeah. I think another tip or something to consider is used cars. When you're looking for a new car deal even, used cars can sometimes be a fantastic alternative. I don't think I'm ever going to buy new unless it's like, I'm looking for something very specific.
Yeah.
But for me, I found that used cars, you can get a really good deal on one if you look hard enough.
Well, I mean, I think in today's pressurized financial world and the fuel price where it's going, rather buy an electric car, but that's that there's a price consideration there. But used cars, you can often, for the same money, get a lot more optional extras on the car: sunroof, navigation, leather seats, high spec. You can get a lot more in a used car than you potentially can by spending the same amount of money on new. Now, I'm an advocate of new car as much as used,
100%,
because there's always a car for everybody, and we need new car sales in South Africa in order to feed the used car market. But consider used alongside new. It's not either or.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Speaking to the climate, we know that we need new cars in order to kind of revitalize the used car market. But I'm not really for one and not for the other. I just think that a lot of people don't understand what options they have in terms of used cars.
Well, I hope that gave you some insight into tips and tricks when buying and selling. There's a couple of ways to sell, the least of which is the traditional method, which is private sales, where you take all the risk. And I think we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. You take all the risk, you do all the paperwork, and then AutoTrader has the sell it yourself option, which we do all the paperwork for you. We vet the buyers for you, and we try and take the risk out of the deal a little bit. And then we've just launched a product called Instant Offer, which has been going for a couple of days now and doing really, really well. Where we come to you and to your premises. It's easy, it's quick, and it's convenient, and it's probably the quickest way to sell a car in South Africa today. So, Wandi, any last thoughts?
It's a question, rather. In your experience, what is the single most important thing that a car shopping consumer needs to take, or a tip
for buying a car?
Yeah, let's do buying and selling.
Buying, okay. So on the buying side, most important tip I can put out there is do more research and comparison than you would normally do, and don't allow your emotions to buy the car. Car buying is an emotional thing.
It is.
We get attached to this, and
it's
then
new shiny toy.
There's new shiny toy. There are options out there. Don't get emotionally attached, because that's when you are going to waste money.
Sell side,
I would say safety is the most important thing, and deciding on how fast you want to sell the car and compromising on price for speed.
Okay. Any last thoughts from me? I think there's pretty much everything's been said there. Just there's so many options and so much information online. Come to AutoTrader, check out the our experts' advice, because pretty much any question that you have with regards to both buying and selling is probably there.
Exactly. So that's all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen, and that's been another episode of the AutoTrader Podcast. We will see you next time.